At 2 a.m., Ukraine reached 1,000 kilometers across the Baltic and set Putin's oil empire on fire. This is how it happened. You're standing on the loading dock at Ust-Luga. The sea is black. The air smells of crude. Then you hear it, a thin lawnmower whine, low over the Gulf of Finland. It's not a plane. It's too small to be a plane. The searchlights snap on. Tracer rounds claw at the dark, and the whine gets louder. You run. Behind you, the first storage tank takes the hit. A fireball climbs 300 feet into the cold air, and the largest oil export terminal on Russia's Baltic shore begins to burn. Welcome back to Defense Declassified. To understand why this terminal matters, forget the explosions for a second. Follow the money. Ust-Luga sits in the Leningrad region, northwest Russia, right on the Gulf of Finland. It is not a military base, it is a cash register. Roughly 700,000 barrels of crude a day move through this port. In 2025 alone, it exported nearly 33 million tons of oil products. It is home to Novatek's gas condensate complex, one of the crown jewels of Russia's energy machine. Every tanker that leaves this dock is revenue. Revenue that pays soldiers, revenue that builds missiles, revenue that keeps the war running, which is exactly why Ukraine decided to burn it, not once, 5 times, in 10 days. And on the night of March 25, 2026, they hit it with the largest overnight drone attack of the entire year. Rewind to March 22nd. The first drones arrive in the dark, and the Leningrad region wakes up to a sound it isn't used to. Far from the front, far from Ukraine, supposedly safe. The fires that night are a warning. 3 days later, that warning becomes a campaign. March 25th. This is the anchor. This is the big one. Ukraine launches what reporting confirms is its largest overnight drone assault of the year to date. Wave after wave of long-range, one-way attack drones. Analysts place them in the 1,000-kilometer class, though the exact airframe has never been officially named, so we won't pretend to know it. What we do know, they came in low, and they came in numbers. Across the dark water they flew, hugging the surface to stay under the radar horizon. The Gulf of Finland gave them a highway. The night gave them cover, and then the oil storage tanks at Ust-Luga caught fire. Leningrad's governor, Alexander Drozdenko, goes on record. He confirms the fires. He confirms the damage. The port is sealed off. No deaths at the terminal itself, but overnight, across the region, 3 people are reported hurt, including 2 children. The cash register's burning, and it's only the second strike. Here's the part that should have stopped them, and didn't. A facility like Ust-Luga is not undefended. Russia ringed its high-value energy sites with layered air defense, medium-range surface-to-air batteries, fighters on alert, a wall of radar staring out over the Baltic. So, how do cheap drones get through? This is where it gets murky, and we're going to be honest about what is confirmed and what is claimed. Open-source analysts have suggested the attackers leaned on a brutal piece of trickery. They flew small drones fitted with foil radar reflectors that make a tiny aircraft look enormous on a defender's screen. A ghost designed to bait air defenses into firing at nothing. It's a real tactic. Whether it was used at Ust-Luga specifically has not been confirmed. The same goes for the defenders. Some accounts say a Buk medium-range battery was lured into chasing decoys. Others say Russian Su-35 fighters struggled to pin down small, slow targets in the dark. We want to be clear. Neither of those has been confirmed for this operation. Treat them as the story analysts are telling, not as fact. What is not in doubt is the result. Strike after strike, the drones got through, hitting the terminal on the 27th, the 29th, and the 31st. Each one another fire, another sealed gate, another loading halted. 5 strikes, 10 days, 1 terminal that could not catch its breath. And on at least one of these raids, Ukraine names the unit responsible. The SBU's Elite Alpha Special Forces, who claimed serious damage and a major fire. This was not random harassment. This was a hunt. Now, zoom out, because this is where it stops being one burning port and becomes a strategic earthquake. Ust-Luga was never the whole plan. It was one node in a wider Ukrainian campaign reaching deep into Russia's refineries and export hubs, and the cumulative damage was staggering. According to Reuters, that broader campaign knocked out roughly 40% of Russia's oil export capacity. 40%. Sit with that number. Nearly half the pipeline that funds the Kremlin's war. Choke, upor. achiku librinist, temporarily by drones that cost a fraction of the targets they destroyed. President Zelensky went further, claiming as much as 60% of Ust-Luga's own capacity was knocked offline. But that figure comes from a single source, so we'll flag it as a claim. The corroborated number, the one that matters, is Reuters' 40% nationally. And here's the asymmetry that has to be terrifying inside the Kremlin. A long-range strike drone is cheap. An oil terminal is not. A tanker contract is not. The revenue stream that keeps an army marching is not. Every fireball over the Baltic was Ukraine forcing Russia to defend everything, everywhere, all at once, across thousands of kilometers of coastline and pipeline that were supposed to be untouchable. The front line used to be a line. Now, it's a map of Russia's wallet, and every dot on it can burn. By the morning after each strike, the governor's statements followed the same grim rhythm. Fires confirmed, damage confirmed, loadings halted, the port sealed, and the tankers waited. In Syama, Ukraine had proven it could reach across 1,000 kilometers and put its hand around the throat of Russia's oil economy whenever it chose. Not with armies, with machines you could carry in a pickup truck. The fires at Ust-Luga went out. The question they raised did not. In a war where the front line can now be anywhere, a profit is made. What is actually safe? Next time on Defense Declassified, we follow the smoke inland to the refineries deep in Russia's heartland. That thought distance would keep them alive. It didn't.